Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. That's me.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day, I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And welcome to another edition of the Kinetic Hour. I am your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. Welcome one, welcome all. We're live streaming on Facebook, live streaming on Instagram, and live streaming on LinkedIn. So welcome to everyone on all three platforms. Go to my YouTube channels. As always, there's always two. The first one, the Kinetic Hour, right here, the Kinetic Hour. And that is KENNETIC, the Kinetic Hour. And my other YouTube channel, which is Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info, Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info. And subscribe, leave your comments. Tell everyone that you know to leave their comments regarding the comments. And just tell everyone you know to tune into the Kinetic Hour and subscribe to Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info, both channels right here. Subscribe, tell everyone you know to tune in. Whether it's one person or 1,000 people or 10,000 people, it doesn't matter. My voice will always permeate. And from the clip that we just saw, that is the President-elect Donald Trump, as he took the stage to give his acceptance speech, because it appears that, and I've waited for several days before I did this podcast on purpose, because it appears that the public, America, being that most of the general public is still in the matrix, that America chose to take the red pill this election cycle. They chose to take the red pill, which is why I'm wearing this shirt. This is what the collective consciousness has been or is currently, because it appears that by what people believe is their vote, people truly and still believe that their vote got Donald Trump elected for a second time in the White House. I mean, people truly believe that their votes got Donald Trump in the White House, which is fine. You know, some people truly don't understand how politics has been operating as it is today, and how it's been operating for, oh gosh, over 60 years, right? Since the 60s. So the notion that Donald Trump was elected, we're going to find out how much their votes truly counted as we go down the rabbit hole of the red pill, just like in the movie The Matrix. And there's so much stuff that I have here. I got all kind of notes. I got notes here. I got a ton of stuff here that I can talk about. And I'm going to address a lot of things over the next couple of episodes regarding this election cycle. And only because earlier today, I was reminded of something even deeper about how politics and officials, political people, or political figures, how they truly get elected. I saw something earlier today featuring Billy Carson, who's on social media. He has a huge following, talking about history and the things that most people couldn't even fathom. You know, it'll kind of go either right over your head or go in one ear and out the other. But he reminded me, because I learned about this probably almost 15 years ago now. In an earlier episode, I mentioned about the 3 city states that literally control certain aspects of how the planet operates. 3 city states, being one, London. Just pay attention to London always. Number 2, Vatican City. Just pay attention to Vatican and and the religious aspect of politics, how religion has played a role in politics. Because again, people truly believe that somehow Donald Trump was anointed and chosen by the Almighty God. By Almighty God. Some people believe that this was an act of Jesus. Some people believe this was an act of Jesus Christ. We prayed to the heavens for days and days, weeks and weeks. We were praying to Jesus that this day would occur. And so people fervently have that belief that Jesus made this happen. Jesus Christ made this happen. So Vatican City. And then the third of the city states is right here in America, specifically Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, which is the third of the city states, which controls the military, which is the reason why we're the mightiest, where we have the mightiest military on the planet. So Billy Carson pointed out something that I learned several years ago, that because of the bloodlines of all the presidents, and this is for people that are in the know, this is no secret, that there are, or that there have been, or that virtually all of your presidents are somehow related in one way or another through bloodline. And yes, that includes Barack Obama, which is the reason why Kamala Harris, and this isn't just according to Billy Carson. I mean, a lot of people know this already about how politics works when you finally go down the rabbit hole. And for example, you can go back, not that they're blood related, or they might be, but go back to the 2004 election, 2004, when it was the incumbent president, George Bush Jr., and his political opponent, John Kerry. Both of them are and have publicly announced their allegiance to their society, secret society, which is really not so secret, but to the general public, yeah, a secret society. And the society that those two specific gentlemen that I just mentioned, they're from a society from Yale University called Skull and Bones. And Skull and Bones is a fraternity of men from Yale University that typically go into politics. You know, they inherit political power because their family members are members of this faction called Skull and Bones. Matter of fact, you can go back and watch the movie The Skulls. Go back and watch the movie The Skulls, part 1, 2, and 3, but especially the first one, The Skulls. And it shows you, gives you kind of a broad scope picture of how people become political figures, from the beginning of the process to the ending process of them having their respective positions of power. Skull and Bones, bloodlines, secret societies, the 13 families of the planet that literally control virtually all the commodities of the planet that we indulge in every day. Whether it's the healthcare industry, whether it's transportation, whether it's education, whether it's your gas and oil. We're still talking about gas and oil versus going electric with our utilities, or solar power, using solar power from the sun. So there's so many commodities that are literally ran by specific families of the planet. And it's just what it is. So when people truly believe that the Donald was elected by the people just because he got the popular vote, from what it appeared, that he's, you know, he was chosen by the people, as you saw him reading his teleprompter, congratulating all of his followers, his many followers. So the Donald is reelected, and The first thing that I want to go into, and I'm only going to bring her up briefly because she's pretty irrelevant at this point, but I'm going to just speak about Kamala Harris just for a few minutes because obviously her bloodline doesn't connect with the bloodlines of those that have already come down the pipeline of the presidency. Um, so therefore, it kind of excludes her from the process. I mean, she sounded good, you know. She told all of America, what she can do for the country as a prosecutor, right? She told you she was a prosecutor, how she went on Fox News and told all the Fox viewers to go to her website, go and look at all the policies that she has laid out. She also told the American people to go and check her record as a prosecutor. Go look at all the cartels that she went against and take them down. Go look at all the people that were trafficking drugs. She told you, go take a look at her record. She's a prosecutor. So obviously, it appears that America would rather have a criminal in office versus a prosecutor. But then we want to start asking the questions about where the children are. Who's trafficking the children? Where are the children? Where's all the missing children? I mean, that's what a lot of Republicans and MAGA supporters have been talking about. Missing children, people being trafficked, people coming across the borders, terrorizing Americans, right? So when you have a prosecutor running for office that is openly telling all of America to go check my record, not listening to all the hearsay that you hear on all these news networks, because all they are propaganda machines, all of them, all of your mainstream media. I don't care who it is, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox News too, because Fox News always tries to exclude themselves from being a part of the mainstream media. The truth of the matter is that they are, and they always have been. They're part of the mainstream media machine, which is why, and I'll say it again, this is the reason why Rupert Murdoch settled almost $1 billion. $1 billion to Dominion for false allegations of their voting procedures and how the hosts on Fox were accusing them of fraud. And instead of Rupert Murdoch going to court to defend his corporate entity, his corporation, his baby, he decided to settle instead, because he knew that if you go to court, if he went to court, then all of Pandora's box would be open on how hosts on these networks, mainstream networks, are hired to manipulate your mind through propaganda. That's just what they're to do. That's what they're hired to do. So when you look at Fox, and this is the only network where you choose to get your news source, know that you're not getting the whole truth and nothing but the truth. You're getting a spin on the truth. Same thing with MSNBC, because they're the polar opposite. And you see people on MSNBC crying over the fact that Kamala Harris lost, saying, what happened? You're going to have a criminal going into office. What went wrong? Finger pointing. She shouldn't have did this. Oh, she shouldn't have did that. Right? We see Roland Martin on his show complaining about who didn't do this and who didn't do that. Right? And then you have the people on Fox doing backflips, jumping for joy because their man won. Because Fox News believes, or the hosts are made to believe and are paid to believe that what they say to their audience is truth. And it's not complete truth. And we know this because of that lawsuit and other lawsuits prior, where judges have said that Fox News is an entertainment company, not a news source, but an entertainment source. So the country spoke, or the Electoral College spoke loud and clear on who they wanted to run the show for the next 4 years. Having a convicted felon run the White House versus a prosecutor that can prosecute all the people that come to our borders illegally, prosecute all the people that have been trafficking children, right? Some people are questioning whether he'll pardon Sean Combs for all of his allegations, because criminals stick together, typically. So 34 felonies and 2 sexual assault crimes that he was found guilty on. 2. So we'll see how that works out when his supporters start crying about sex trafficking, because you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Either you like the fact that he said just grab him in the pussy, or you don't. For the women that voted for him, you want him doing that to your daughters? This is the same man that lusts after his own daughter, right? We've heard the clips. We've seen the video footage. And if you notice, no one's complaining about voter fraud. I don't see any Democrats coming out complaining about voter fraud, because guess what? If Donald had lost, this is what we would be hearing right now. But all we seem to be hearing right now are Trump voters' complaints now, because they're starting to learn what they actually signed up for. And the big thing right now is about the tariffs on businesses that may come down the pipeline once he comes into office. The tariffs, because many people have admitted that they have no clue what tariffs mean. Tariffs is just a political word for taxes that are cast upon us for goods and services being traded between us and other countries. Tariffs, taxes. But the taxes are going to be on us, not the other countries. The taxes are going to be on us, which means that while Trump supporters are so worried about the food prices and gas prices rising up more and more, well, they're going to be in for a rude awakening if you have a business here in America where you have to import your goods, whether they're clothes or other items. You're going to have to pay a larger tax to get those goods made in other countries. But, people try to tell the MAGA supporters that hang on to every single word that Donald says. Donald speaks, at a 3rd and 4th grade level. And this is the support that he's receiving back from people that think along those lines. I mean, so many people have pointed this out, that many of the Trump supporters are of high school education or less. I mean, hell, we even know about the Donald having his college tests taken. We know this. His family members have already said it. as opposed to the former Democratic nominee that had law degrees and, was a prosecutor here in California. I didn't see anybody complaining about her record back then, other than the criminals that had to go to jail upon her prosecutions. I mean, those are the people that have been complaining about Kamala Harris. But we didn't want a prosecutor to go into the White House to take care of a lot of this stuff. And the notion is that she's dumb and stupid and doesn't have an earthly clue with all of her degrees. Oh, gosh. You see this right here? I'm going to pull this up because I saw this. This was the very next day after the Donald was called as the new president-elect. I saw this, and this has been getting a lot of traction. I'm just going to pull this up and play this play this report quickly, and then I'm going to respond to it. Just going to play this here.
Their doors and windows locked. Workers are laying traps to catch dozens of monkeys that escaped from a research facility last night. CBS News spoke with the company's CEO, Dave Malkoff, reports.
The 43 rhesus macaques made a break for it on Wednesday, escaping from the Alpha Genesis Primate Research Center in Yemassee, South Carolina.
The caretaker was doing her normal routine. She failed to secure the doors, and the monkeys basically just bolted through the opening. They're very social monkeys, and they travel in groups. So when the first couple go out the door, the others tend to just follow right along.
So the reason why they got out was literally monkey see, monkey do.
Absolutely.
President and CEO Greg Westergaard says the monkeys, which are used for vaccine development, are hanging out in the woods near the facility. A bystander says he saw the escape, although the video he recorded could not be verified by CBS News.
I think they're having an adventure.
The fugitive primates are described as cat-sized adolescent females.
You want it?
I met a similar species on assignment in Sri Lanka. In a statement to CBS News, the CDC said the monkeys pose no threat to public health as long as people do not come in contact with them.
Hoping for a happy ending. That's the number one important thing to me.
Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Atlanta.
Okay. So, before I get to responding to that, another thing that I saw, just quickly, because the Donald has been chosen to be president-elect, one of his former arch rivals turned, I don't know. This is the same man that first despised the Donald and now loves him, as if nothing ever happened. And I'm talking about Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who won his seat back into the Senate on Tuesday. And during some of you have probably already seen the clip of his daughters while he was giving his acceptance speech. This was the night of the election before it was announced. He was saying that I hope and pray that Donald Trump becomes elected again as president. And you see his daughters, or one of his daughters, the oldest daughter, while they were applauding and his wife was applauding, she looked over to her mother and said, "Don't clap for that. Why are you clapping for that? You really want Donald Trump to win the office after he's insulted you multiple times over the years?" I mean, he's called Ted Cruz's wife ugly on multiple occasions. We've all seen the clips of the photos of his wife next to Melania Trump. having a beauty contest to see who's more beautiful, right? Because we know the Donald's current wife is a former nude model. We know this. She's not a Rhodes Scholar. She's a nude model, or was, right? She's not like Michelle Obama, where she has a bunch of degrees under her belt. No, no. He didn't get the quote, educated woman on paper, you know. And she could be educated for all I know, but from what we know, what we've always known is that she's been a nude model. Because the Donald, he likes models. It's just what it is. He likes models. But you saw that Ted Cruz's wife was applauding for everything that he said in his speech. And then the daughter's like, don't clap for that. And this is the daughter that has gone publicly on her social media to say that she don't agree with most of the stuff that her father says. Most of it, which is very telling. The same man that left with his family, and those girls were younger at the time. They may not have understood the impact of what occurred a few years back when Ted Cruz left his freezing state while his state was freezing over, and he left to go to warm tropical Mexico with his family. Mexico, the very country that we're supposed to be afraid of. That's where he went with his family while Texas was freezing over. And his daughters didn't take too kindly when he said he wishes that Donald Trump got into office. I mean, she made a face of horror, like, I don't want him in office. And why are you clapping, Mom, after he insulted you?
And I believe, and I hope and pray that Donald Trump will be reelected as President of the United States.
But a lot of the political wives, they behave in this manner because they know their place. Obviously, go back and watch the movie The Good Shepherd. Go back and watch the movie The Good Shepherd. They pretty much tell you how the wives are chosen and how they're trained to be a political figure's wife. The Good Shepherd. Oh, Ted Cruz. But I want to go back to this clip that I just showed about the 12 monkeys. In this case, 40 monkeys. And I love referencing movies because a lot of movies mimic reality. And from that clip we just showed, because we just came out of a pandemic just a few short years ago, and the claim was that the first time around it came from diseased monkeys in China, or diseased animals, pigs, or whatever the animal was, bats, whatever the chosen animal is. It's their fault. It's always the animal's fault. But 40 monkeys, 43 to be exact, just happened to be released the day after to just go run free in the woods of South Carolina. And the facility that they came from, like the report said, is a vaccine producing facility. And if history serves correctly, you know, history always repeats itself during political season. And so if we're going to talk about what could happen in the near future by these monkeys being released and they're creating vaccines at this facility, what the hell are they doing to those monkeys? And why did they escape in such numbers collectively? Because our primates, they're not stupid. They're not stupid. They know when danger lurks. They know. I mean, their sixth sense operates 10 times better than ours as human beings, because we don't know how to use our intuitions and know when we're being duped. But possibly those monkeys do, which is why they ran out of those cages when they had the opportunity. A new employee just happened to not lock up all the cages properly. So we'll see what happens if something comes of this, because this isn't the first time this has happened at that specific facility. But typically when you have something like this occur, usually something else comes not too long after. So we'll see what comes of that, because this is how the first pandemic got started, by a virus just kind of floating in the wind. Reminds me of the movie Outbreak. The movie Outbreak from 1995 with Dustin Hoffman. Outbreak, because the same movies that were in Outbreak are the same movies that are being discussed in that report. Same monkeys. Outbreak. So we'll see what occurs from that with these monkeys being released. And you know, when they create the problem, the solution is already waiting in the wings. That's typically how politics operates. Oh gosh. During his acceptance speech, you know, there were supposedly a huge following of people that look like me that started supporting the Donald. And there's been conflicting statistics on how many African American people truly voted for the Donald. I keep seeing this one right here. I don't know how accurate it is because it doesn't give an actual source, but I'm going to put it up anyway, just for the sake of showing that here, who voted for the Donald versus who voted for Kamala Harris by cultural background. And you see here that when you look at black men versus black women that voted for the Donald this cycle, it looks like only 7% of black women voted for the Donald versus 27% of black men that voted for Donald, which is a significant differential. Because there were and are more black men that truly believe that the Donald is going to save them somehow. And typically it's over finances for most black people that are voting for the Donald. You know, because we got free money through a couple of stimulus checks during the pandemic. Many black people, unfortunately, are assuming that that's going to occur again, that somehow the Donald is going to give them a bigger payout of free money somehow. My question to people that look like me, because we didn't see not one person that looked like me on that stage while Donald was giving his acceptance speech. I didn't see Byron Donalds on the stage. I didn't see Tim Scott on the stage. I didn't see any of those people. Harry O, who was at the Madison Square Garden convention that took place a few weeks back. I didn't see him there. How many black people is the Donald going to appoint in his cabinet? That's a great question. How many black people is he going to appoint in his cabinet? Because if I recall, during his term in 2016, he didn't appoint any black people to any high positions of power. Nope. I mean, I could be wrong, and I can be corrected. So if he did, let me know what their names are, so I can correct myself. So my question is, who is he going to put any people that look like me in positions of power, just like him? And I know that we, meaning we as African American, that's what we're called here in this country, African American. And we've been called that for quite some time, which, I don't know why we're still called African American just because of our skin tone. The Donald's biggest donor, Elon Musk, he's African American. He's African American. He was his biggest donor, right? So we'll see if there are more electric cars on the street, because Donald wants to drill, baby, drill, right? Not use electricity and solar power. No, he still wants to use oil and gas. And then more people are be complaining about gas prices going up and oil. But I know that we've had a kind of a love-hate relationship with law enforcement. That's why a lot of black people and black men specifically were kind of hesitant on choosing or at least considering Kamala Harris to go into the White House as a prosecutor, because we have this love-hate relationship with law. I mean, the Donald loved to talk about law and order, how he wants America to be the law and order country, how he wants to be the law and order president. Well, how many people is he going to pardon when he gets into office? How many people is he going to pardon? And why are we so afraid to have a woman be in the White House? Because obviously America collectively still has this apprehension about a woman being president. Like they're incapable of doing so. I mean, we had Geraldine Ferraro back in the 80s. She was a presidential running mate. She could have moved forward to be a presidential candidate. You had Hillary Clinton, who ran against the Donald. I kind of understand why a lot of people didn't want her, because as the Donald used to call her, Crooked Hillary. We can go for a whole hour talking about the Clinton family and some of the things that they've done and still continue to do behind closed doors now that they've had their time in public office. Hillary Clinton being the former First Lady and former Secretary of State. But we had an opportunity to have the first woman be president. And obviously America is not ready for that. A woman, let alone her being a black woman. And then with more division amongst our people, we have this notion that she's not black enough. That's been the notion, not only from the general public, but from us specifically. She ain't black enough. She don't talk black enough. or she only talks black when she's around black people. These are the things that we've been hearing over the last year when it comes to Kamala Harris, especially over the last 3 months that she was nominated to be the presidential nomination for president. She ain't black enough, but she's a AKA from Howard University. You can't even pledge for that sorority unless you're black. But we still have this fear of a woman of education being the president of the United States. And now that we have this good old boy system coming back to the White House, we'll see how racism expands. We'll see, because the division is already there and it's been there. Maybe this is why Omarosa was the first woman to leave the Donald when he went in 2016. She was the first to kind of skip town because she saw what was about to occur. She got the hell on up out of there. So we'll see what happens as we get closer and closer to his inauguration. I'm going to stop it right there because I have a lot more to talk about, including RFK Jr. and his soon-to-be battle with the pharma industrial complex, which may be one of the only great things that come out of this administration. And I'll talk about that in detail in the next episode. But to end, just know that doesn't matter who you vote for. Presidents are predetermined. Everything that you see on TV is just a part of the circus to get into your emotions and to get into your mind, to hypnotize you, to mesmerize you. That's what politics is. And it's always been that way, especially now that we're in a social media era, which is why you have so much division on both sides. You know, Ralph Nader called it the two-party dictatorship because by default, it creates division. You know, no politician is ever going to make everyone happy. No politician. I don't care who you vote for. As I always say, vote for yourself. If you're going to go vote, vote for yourself. Because every time you go vote, it's like signing your name on a contract. And so whatever happens over the next 4 years, all they're going to say is, this is what you asked for. This is what you voted for. So we'll see what comes down the pipeline as we get closer. Go to my YouTube channels, The Kinetic Hour, KENNETIC. Tell everyone you know to tune in to The Kinetic Hour. Leave your comments. What do you think about all this that's going on right now? What do you think? Because I didn't vote for either one because I vote for me. I vote for me. I can be the president of myself and govern myself and make my own decisions about how I choose to govern myself, not being influenced by political figures to be governed in a certain way. No, I vote for me. Go to my YouTube channels, Kinetic Hour and Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info. Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info. Leave your comments and leave your comments regarding the comments. Tell everyone you know to tune in to the Kinetic Hour. And I'll be back for another episode. Until next time.